You know the feeling. You are alone in a room and you do something you would never do if someone were watching. You pick at something. You talk to yourself. You make a face in the mirror. You dance badly. And then something shifts. A sound from the hallway. A shadow at the window. The sense that maybe, just maybe, you are not alone. And instantly you change. Your posture straightens. Your expression neutralizes. Whatever you were doing stops. You have not confirmed anyone is watching. You have not seen a face or heard a voice. The mere possibility of observation was enough to transform your behavior completely. This is not self-consciousness. This is not insecurity. This is one of the oldest and most powerful systems in the human brain, and it is doing exactly what it was built to do. The question is, what was it built to protect you from? The answer changes everything you think you know about privacy, shame, reputation, and why you care so deeply about what other people think of you. Your brain contains what researchers call a hypersensitive agency detection device. Cognitive scientist Justin Barrett, who coined the term, found that the human mind is tuned to detect the presence of agents, beings with intentions, at extraordinary levels of sensitivity. Not just humans, not just animals, anything that might have intent, a shadow, a sound, a pattern that could be a face. Your brain would rather falsely detect an agent that is not there than fail to detect one that is. The cost of a false alarm is embarrassment. The cost of a missed detection in the ancestral environment was death. This is why you feel watched in empty rooms. This is why you feel uneasy with your back to a door. This is why surveillance cameras, even fake ones, even pictures of eyes, reliably change behavior. Your brain cannot distinguish between the presence of an actual observer and the credible possibility of one. Both trigger the same neural response. Both activate the same ancient system, and that system, once activated, does something remarkable. It makes you behave as if your reputation is on the line, because in the environment your brain was designed for, it always was. For most of human history, your reputation was the single most important resource you possessed. More important than food, more important than shelter, more important in many circumstances than your own physical safety. Because your reputation determined your access to cooperation, and cooperation determined your survival. A person with a good reputation could call on allies when sick, when hungry, when threatened. A person with a damaged reputation could not. And since you lived among the same 50 to 150 people for your entire life, with no possibility of moving to a new city and starting over, every action you took was a permanent entry in a ledger that everyone around you could read. Being watched was not an invasion of privacy in that world. There was no such thing as privacy in that world. Every member of your group was simultaneously a potential ally, a potential competitor, and a permanent witness. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm, in his extensive research on egalitarian hunter-gatherer societies, found that social monitoring was one of the primary mechanisms by which these groups maintained cooperation and prevented any single individual from accumulating too much power. The group watched constantly, and being watched was what kept the social contract intact. This is the system that wakes up in you when you sense a possible observer. It is not paranoia, it is a finely calibrated social instrument playing the note it was designed to play. The note is, someone may be watching, and the consequence of that note is, behave as though your long-term reputation depends on this moment, because for 300,000 years it did. Psychologist Ara Norenzayan at the University of British Columbia has spent years studying what he calls the watching eyes effect. His research, and the research it has inspired, shows that images of eyes, even stylized, non-realistic eyes, even eyes printed on a poster in a peripheral field of vision, increase pro-social behavior significantly. People donate more to charity when there are eyes nearby. People litter less. People cheat cheat less, people cooperate more. The effect works even when participants know the eyes are just images. It works even when the images are not consciously noticed. The system that responds to the possibility of observation is so old and so automatic that it operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. This finding has been replicated across cultures, across contexts, across levels of religiosity and secular background, because what Neuroscience's work illuminates is not a quirk of one culture's sense of shame. It is a feature of the human brain itself. The watching eye triggers a universal behavioral response because it is tapping into something universal, the ancient social monitoring system that every human being carries inside them, regardless of where or how they were raised. Now think about what this means for the experience you have never been able to fully explain. The shame you feel when no one is watching but you know what you did. The self-consciousness that persists in an empty room. The inability to fully relax even in private. The philosopher Thomas Nagel wrote about the concept of what he called moral luck, the way external circumstances shape judgments of character. But the feeling you experience in private is older than philosophy. It is the internalized observer. Over the course of development, humans learn to carry a version of the social monitoring system inside themselves. What we call conscience, guilt, shame, pride, these are not abstract moral constructs. They are the output of an internal simulation of being watched. Your brain runs a constant background process that asks, what would the group think of this? And it does not need an actual group to run that process. It has been doing it so long in response to social monitoring that was so constant throughout evolutionary history that it runs even in the total absence of any observer. This is why solitary confinement is psychologically devastating. It is not only the absence of social contact, it is the collapse of the feedback loop that tells you who you are. The watched self and the watching group are so deeply intertwined in human psychology that removing the group does not free the self, it destabilizes it. And this is why public exposure, having your private behavior made suddenly visible, feels catastrophically threatening in a way that is completely disproportionate to any practical consequence. The ancient system does not evaluate the actual damage, it evaluates the reputational damage. And in the ancestral environment, a catastrophic reputational event was not an embarrassment to recover from, it was the beginning of social exile, which was, as we have established, the beginning of death. The system was calibrated for a world where reputation was permanent and exile was fatal. It was not calibrated for the internet. It was not calibrated for viral moments or screenshots or the way a single observation made by a stranger on the other side of the world can feel exactly as threatening as the judgment of the 150 people whose cooperation you needed to survive. The nervous system does not know the difference. The shame spiral that follows a public moment, the replaying, the catastrophizing, the sense that everything is ruined, is a 300,000-year-old survival response running in a context it was never designed for. Understanding this does not make the feeling disappear. The system is too old and too deep for intellectual understanding to simply switch it off. But understanding it changes your relationship to it. The next time you feel the cold flush of being watched, in a meeting, in public, in the small private moments that somehow feel observed even when they can't be, you will know what you are feeling. You will know it is not weakness. You will know it is not vanity or neurosis or excessive self-consciousness. It is 300,000 years of social intelligence doing the job it was built to do, in a world that has changed faster than evolution can follow. The fear of being watched is not a flaw. It is the thing that kept your ancestors honest, cooperative, and alive long enough to become your ancestors. It is, in the most literal sense, one of the reasons you are here.